Cabernet Sauvignon versus Merlot. These are two varieties that are in the same family. They share the same DNA. They are in the Bordeaux family of grapes. If you're setting them side by side, their differences may be easy to identify, but in a blind tasting, these two varieties can be really difficult to tell apart. If you've been to my variety pages, there's a section on the bottom called Common Confusions with varieties that are tricky to tell apart and some reasons as to why they are different. I would love to hear the differences that you find between these two varieties. Here is what I focus on. First thing I focus on is structure. So fruit notes are great and they can be a clue. It has been said that Cabernet Sauvignon has more dark fruit and Merlot has more red fruit. And while I find this to be true, there are some Cabernet Sauvignons that are made in a more approachable style that actually have a lot of red fruit. And there are some Merlot wines that are grown at higher elevations, see a lot more sun, and have a little bit more black fruit than expected. So fruit is the clue. However, I focus mostly on structure. First thing is tannin level. So Cabernet Sauvignon, thicker skin, usually later ripening, usually sees a little bit more tannin than Merlot. Cabernet Sauvignon's tannins are often described as being kind of coarse, pretty grippy. They kind of catch the sides of your mouth. Whereas Merlot's tannins are a lot softer. They're described as velvety. They go down easy. Acid level is another thing to look for. Typically, Cabernet Sauvignon retains its acidity a little bit better than Merlot, so the acid is elevated. It's a little bit more mouthwatering in Cabernet Sauvignon, whereas Merlot tends to be in the more medium area for acid. Again, it's really smooth. It's not as mouthwatering. And then there's pyrazine. So these are the green notes that you find in the Bordeaux family of grapes. Cabernet Sauvignon tends to have higher concentrations, so you're more likely to get a little bit more bell pepper or eucalyptus or minty notes in Cabernet Sauvignon. Whereas in Merlot, these are a little bit harder to notice. They show up a little more like fresh herbs. Again, these aren't definitive. Regional factors and winemaking factors tend to blur the lines a little bit. However, these are generally good bankers and ones that I lean on when comparing the two varieties. Taste them, compare, see what differences you get. If you have any in mind, please let me know how you tell these two varieties apart.